Okay, hello everyone. My name is Dr. Liu Meihui. I am an assistant dean at the Faculty of Science and also the senior lecturer for the Food Science and Technology department. Today, I will share with you how our department will prepare you for the future of food and health. What we are going to do today is that I will first give you an introductory talk about our major. Afterwards, we will actually get our alumni, Ifan here. Yeah, Ifan, you're Dr. Jiang or Miss Jiang?
Just call me Miss Jiang.
Yeah, okay. So we have Ifan here that she will also share with you her experience as a person that works in the food industry. She is also our alumni. So hearing from her may also give you a additional perspective of what this major can bring you. Afterwards, we will also have a Q&A session. So along the way, during my talk, if you have any questions that you want to ask, you can actually ask on the chat button there on Zoom. And then my colleagues here, many of them are here today with me, they will try to answer them. Some of the questions we may not be able to answer, after which don't worry, we will actually get to those questions right after the session with me and Ifan. So following the whole process is that if you have time to stay around to chit chat with us, we are really happy to answer your questions. So stay around after my talk as well as Ifan's talk, because then our other colleagues will still come in to actually just to chat with whoever is interested to ask a few more questions. It can be either through the chat function, or it can also be that you just unmute yourself and then we can have a chat also. Okay. Okay. So without further ado, let me just start with my lecture, my presentation here. Okay. I've introduced myself, and right now I will just give you a brief overview of what our department, our major in food science and technology, can offer you. Okay. Okay. So what is this subject about food science and technology? It is basically a science subject that encompasses everything related to food, the processing methods, the properties, its composition, and its health effects. And because of the complexity of this food, this major is also multidisciplinary. And what it means basically is that our students will learn about many other subjects related to food. This includes chemistry, biochemistry, nutrition, engineering, microbiology, and even consumer sciences. If you ask us where our students actually go to after they graduate, I mean, this is always one of the first few questions students would ask us. What can I do with a major in FST? Well, our graduates actually work in many major industries in Singapore and worldwide, across the whole food and health supply chain. And we also have actually alumni that work in agencies that's in charge of health, safety, and sustainability of foods. Of course, many of our graduates are also involved in this exciting new space where there is a lot of food tech and agri-tech startup that is coming out in Singapore and also around the world. And a lot of our alumni are actually working there. Later on, you will actually see some examples of those. Our department is also the major, has also the major in food science and technology that is one of the oldest in Singapore. We are already about 22 years old as a first major in food science and technology. And right now, from year 1 to year 4, we have about 220 undergraduates from year 1 to year 4. And at the same time, we also have about 160 postgraduates. These postgraduate students, what they do is that they are doing their master's or PhD in food science and technology. Up to now, we have already 1,000 alumni that is working in the food industry or related food industries in Singapore and worldwide. This major is actually supported by 8 full-time academic staff. Well, we specialize in various important aspects of food. So you'll find my name there. I am part of the sector related to human nutrition. So students that take nutrition you will see me. Okay, I will tell you why bubble tea is not a good food to to be part of your diet, but that's when you come and take my modules. Okay. All our colleagues, colleagues, besides actually coming into lectures and teaching you different modules, different subjects, we are also very active in food research. You might actually have seen some of our research being reported in the news, either local news or actually on professional food industry websites. You might also even see us on TV or also in radio stations. One other aspect of our major in food science and technology, our training that we give our students, is that we also have some of the top industry leaders in the field that are actually professors in class. So what this industry leaders do is that they don't just actually come in and then give one talk about a particular subject. The impact that they have really is that they come in and they are very heavily involved in designing of a particular module. They are heavily involved in actually also this delivery of all this content. So what happens then is that the students, right when they start to join our program, they would already have interaction with the industry. They actually learn from industry leaders, and so the outcomes from there is that you know that the things you are learning would be relevant and applicable when you actually join the food industry. Together, as our forces combine, okay, you have about 17 professors and industry leaders that are here to deliver more than 20 over FST specialized modules. These modules actually cover a broad area of subjects such as food safety, food processing, food microbiology, new product development, and nutrition. So you have a QR code on the side. You can scan that when you're free, or you can scan it now to actually have bring you to our main food science FST web page, where you actually you can actually see the whole full list of modules that we actually offer you. Each of those subjects are actually different, and all of them are actually designed to actually prepare you specifically for the food industry. With the new CHS, you will actually have even more flexibility on what you want to learn and what makes you unique. Again, you will still see another QR code. This QR code is different. This QR code will bring you to the College of Humanities and Sciences website, where they will actually tell you a little bit more about what CHS is. But however, at this point here, I will actually give you some explanation on how our module, our major, can actually fit into this whole CHS and how you can actually take advantage of this. Okay, just to start off with, in order to graduate from NUS, you will basically need about 40 modules. You have to read about 40 modules throughout your 4 years with us. And this 40 modules is actually separated into basically 3 parts. So that's why you see here, there are 3 donuts. They're actually not donuts. This basically represents all the modules that you have to take. Okay, there's 40 modules that you have to take, and basically it can be separated into 3 different types. The first type basically is the common core, which is the common core that all students under CHS would need to take. Those actually is 13 modules. You guys can see my pointer? No, let me just wait. Let me just find my pointer first. Okay. Okay, so it's this all students under CHS will actually take the common core. This is actually 13 modules. Okay, and then if you are under our department, you'll be taking FST major. That is 15 modules, which basically takes up this space. These 2 spaces are basically predefined for you. Okay, but that actually leaves you with 12 modules, which generally we call it the unrestricted space. which you can actually think about what you want to do with this space. This space, you can actually use it to read minors, which will then make you a versatilist, okay? Or you can actually use this space to read another major. That may actually make you an integrator, or you want to do a little bit more on food science related modules, and that actually gives you a space for specialization where you become a deep specialist. So like all the bubble tea flavors that is available out there, okay, you will have a favorite bubble tea. Okay, you will also identify yourself as someone that's different with different aspirations than your friend and so on. So here is actually the types of opportunities for you to actually design your own learning journey. Okay, I will give you some examples on how this format, okay, can actually help you decide on what you want to study beyond the common core, and of which it will be complementary to your first major in food science and technology. Okay, so first, let's say you think that you are a versatilist, that appeals to you. You may actually consider using this unrestricted space to do some minors. So here, around the whole university, you have about more than 40 minors to choose from. This whole list here, this small little list here, are actually some of the examples of some of the minors that our students have taken previously. We actually especially encourage students to do a minor in entrepreneurship. And in the coming year, when you guys join us, we will also have a new minor in nutrition that really would complement your food science and technology first major. What happens if you choose to be a versatilist is that eventually you will be awarded a Bachelor's of Science. This Bachelor of Science is a FST major with, it can be a minor in nutrition, or you can actually choose to do a double minor, which is basically example here, minor in nutrition and also a minor in entrepreneurship. Okay. Then let's say you would want to become an integrator, and integrator actually appeals to you more. Then you can actually choose to use this space, okay, to do another major. So besides your first major in FST, you can actually choose to do another major that spans across the CHS. These majors, they are actually more than 25, but here what I'm giving you here are actually just some examples. In the Faculty of Arts and Social Science, these are some of the examples of majors that they offer under CHS. At the faculty, at our own faculty at Science, these are some of the majors we actually offer our students. What happens here is that, let's say, if you want to use this space to do a major that is contrasting. So this is what I mentioned here, the path option when the major is contrasting. For example, FST major, first major, and then you want to do psychology, okay? That will mean that it's a contrasting major, and therefore at the end you will actually get a double degree in a Bachelor of Science with honors and a Bachelor's of Arts. Bachelor of Social Science with honors. So that's a double degree. However, some people would actually feel that for me as a food scientist, I want to equip myself with the ability to analyze big data sets. So I think a data analytics major would actually complement me. So for me, for this student, he or she will choose to maybe use this space to do another major in data science and analytics. And because this is under the Faculty of Science, what happens is that the student would then have a double major in FST and data science. There are also students that would want to know everything about food. Okay, you actually have the freedom to take even more modules related to FST that will actually help you to have an opportunity to do research projects and learn a bit more in terms of advanced knowledge related to food science and technology. So it's important because eventually a lot of these specialists are really the people that can support our food industry's R&D. as well as also drive a lot of the deep innovations that is related to food science and technology. Here you actually see some examples of some of the food tech startups that came out from a lot of these people that would, I would think that they will identify themselves as deep specialists. So these startups are basically spin-off from some of the research that we have within our department by staff, by students, and also by our alumni. Okay, so these are actually 3 different types of broad structure that students would we will encourage our food science students to actually consider. But at the same time, we would also want to also encourage you to actually expand beyond just what you learn within the classroom. So one of the things that we especially encourage would be also to let our students have an opportunity to spend time overseas as part of your learning experience. So here are actually some of the phases and the places that our food science students have gone to. You can actually have an overseas experience either in the form of student exchange, internships overseas, summer programs, as well as also startup experience that's overseas. There's also a lot of the examples of some of the good food science universities overseas that we actually send our students to. So you will actually have a very unique experience to get when you actually go to another place and you study food science at that other university. Okay. One feature of our program for many years was that we would actually get students to do internship over different places in Singapore. Right now we continue to strongly encourage you to consider this. Since the major has been established 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, we have been sending all these students out to many of these companies, and these companies continue to be very good partners with us. They work with us since the very start of our program, and they continue to want our students as interns because they do know that our students actually have the quality and the training that they need. So here are many examples for you to consider as part of your time with us at NUS. Eventually, you will know that this major actually prepares our students for a wide range of not just jobs, experiences, and also prepares them enough to actually consider many choices in terms of further studies. Because here are actually some examples of some of the further studies that our alumni has actually finished. So here, for example, we have alumni that has done a PhD in system engineering, a PhD in chemistry. So you have actually some of these lines here, this sub-line here after each of them. These are actually where our current alumni is in terms of where they are. Okay, so therefore you know that by taking a major in food science and technology, we actually prepare you for various domains. If you want to further them in terms of either doing it as a PhD or as a master's program and so on. Here actually are further examples of where a lot of our alumni is in the food industry, government sectors, and related fields. We are very proud of our students, so therefore we actually really would want to show you all where they are. I hope you can see yourself in such positions in your future jobs, and at the same time, when you join us, what happens basically is that you are not only joining us as part of this department, part of this major, you are also joining us in a network of more than over 1,000 alumni that works in the food industry or relevant industry. So therefore, I hope you can consider taking the NUS Advantage in terms of doing FST major with us. We can really help you shape the future, shape your future in terms of the types of opportunities that we offer, not just in terms of learning, the different types of degree programs, major combinations we have under CHS. There's also the global experience that you will get, the internship positions that we may actually help you incorporate into your curriculum, and also the types of connection that we can use in your future jobs and so on. Lastly, I would just want to mention also that in terms of our own food science major, we also have a lot of support from the industry in the forms of book prizes and also scholarships. So this is also an affirmation of our student quality, because our industry partners do feel that there's a good need to invest in our students. So we are very thankful for them, for their support. And many of these private prizes and scholarships are actually also exclusive for only FST major students. There's a QR code at the bottom where it will bring you to some of those details related to these book prizes and scholarships. Okay, lastly, this would be maybe one of the slides that most of you guys are waiting for. These are actually the requirements for admissions under CHS and into our department, into a first major in FST. A few things to note, okay? Under CHS, FST would be offered as FST first major or food science as a second major, okay? Within these two first major and second major, for FST first major, please note that it is direct admissions. What this means is that during your admissions process, your application process, you will have to choose FST and not CHS. You have to choose FST as the first round of application. Okay, and then if you want to consider food science as a second major, in this particular case, please note that this food science as a second major is only available for chemistry students that is doing chemistry as a first major. For these two majors, the requirement is a good H2 pass in any of these two. In any two H2, sorry, let me just rephrase this. In terms of the requirement, what we need is a good H2 pass in two of these few subjects combination: chemistry or biology, or mathematics or further mathematics, or physics or computer science or computing. So any of these two H2 passes. Okay. However, do note that if you do not have chemistry or biology at the H2 level, what you need to do is that you actually still need to do a bridging module of either and chemistry and biology, or chemistry or biology when you come and join us. This is the cohort intake. Okay, for the first major is about 50 students, and then for the food science second major is about 20 students. Just something that's upcoming, we would also have a nutrition as a second major that is open to all students under with CHS, that is coming 1 year later from 1 year later, which is next year. Okay, this is something for some of you that are actually not joining us in the coming academic year, but actually 1 year later, you can actually consider also this nutrition as a second major. Okay, so I am actually more or less done with what I want to say to you all, to give you guys a general impression of what this FST major is about. You can contact us at the email here, okay, and there's also a telephone number. You can actually call us, and then we will try to answer some of the questions. Follow us if you want to know what we have always been up to. So it's not just a one-off contact. This is our Instagram account. We also Instagram handle. We also have our Facebook account, where we will actually regularly update what we are doing in terms of research, education, what our students are doing, and so on. There's also QR code on the side. This QR code actually will bring you to our food science frequently asked questions. So if you want to have a look at that, you are welcome to do so, because I think the FAQ would also help. Hopefully, it will answer a lot of your questions that you have. Okay, so I'm done. I will now pass on to Ifan, who will actually tell you about how, as a FST student, what she learned and how all these things becomes very applicable when she joins the food industry. Okay, let me stop sharing first.
Thank you very much, Dr. Liu, for the very comprehensive introduction of FST and the kind of experience that is offered to the students. So, hi, everyone. Very good Saturday afternoon to you all. My name is Ifan. I'm currently the head of science and regulatory affairs in Food Industry Asia, which is industry association that represents some of those biggest food companies in Asia. So let me share my screen first. So I believe you all should be able to see my slides now. So in my presentation today, in the next probably 12 minutes, I will be sharing with you on the topic about addressing the food system challenge and the need for an interdisciplinary approach. So in my presentation, I will be sharing with you how do we see the current food system and what are the challenges that we're facing currently. And then I will also zoom in a little bit on how does it actually relate to the food industry and also to professionals like food science and technologists. And also finally, how do we actually serve a role in addressing those big challenges? And finally, a bit of my personal experience as well working in this area and the education I have gained in NUS FST and how it has enabled me to what I'm doing currently. So to share with you on what exactly is the food system, actually. So we have to start it from how do we look at the food supply chain. So maybe we can say it starts from the farm, where we grow the crops and then the crops are harvested and picked up, moved to the factory to start its processing. And after the first few stages of the processing is transferred to the various food ingredients that are being used in our food products. And actually these ingredients are also being further transferred to produce another composition of the ingredients. So actually the food crops and commodities has been already passed several rounds of the processing before it's finally combined into one food product that is presented on our table. So maybe you can say that in one single piece of pie or pizza, it actually contains the United Nations. Yeah. And not only the food supply chain is long and involves a lot of stages, the entire food supply chain also has a lot of externality effects because of its impact actually to our external environment, to the climate, and they're also interrelated as well. And finally, food in terms of how it is consumed by the people is also very deeply connected with our cultures, beliefs, our religions, and it has also entire social economic effect as well. So when we're talking about addressing the food system, we're not only talking about making sure we have enough food, they are safe and nutritious, but at the same time, we're also talking about how food production and the system is related to the current environment that we're living in, and also how does it relate to our culture and economic growth as well. So just share with you a few key challenges that we see nowadays in terms of the food system. So as I mentioned earlier, the food system is related to a lot of external effects as well. So we can probably start from Will over there talking about ethics, right? So currently there's a lot of debates about the animal welfare because land is so scarce and a lot of animal farming are being like squeezed in a very little space to actually for us to grow grow enough meat. So are we being ethical to the animal welfare? Right, and that also there's that climate impact as well, and they actually interact with each other in between the environment and the food agriculture system as well, because climate change can actually severely impact the harvest of the crops, and it also affects actually the welfare of the farm and the whole community. And actually vice versa, that food production and agriculture activity could also affect the climate as well. And we also face challenges related to diet-related illnesses, and I'm going to share about that a little bit more in detail later. And that there's also safety in terms of food safety concern. And currently, actually, foodborne diseases is still a very severe cause of disease and the death in a lot of developing countries. So how do we address that? And there are also other challenges, for example, in terms of water. Water is a scarce resource, and the agricultural activity will also need to compete with the use of water. So how can we actually utilize the limited resources in a more wise way? So all of these challenges actually require a whole of society collaboration to actually address them. So I will zoom in a little bit into an example to share with you on the need for an interdisciplinary and multi-sectorial solution for us to address some of those challenges that we face currently in the food system. So the example that I'm going to share with you is on addressing obesity. So actually, currently, the non-communicable diseases, or NCDs, is actually the #1 leading cause of death, according to the data from the WHO. And actually, obesity and unhealthy diet, together with the lack of physical activity and the abuse of alcohol and tobacco consumption, are actually the biggest risk factors that contribute to NCDs. So what in terms of obesity and the diet, there's so much correlation with the food and the food industry as well. That is actually contributing to the entire challenge. So actually, as a common consumer, like every one of us, right, we know that in order to maintain a healthy lifestyle and control our body weight, it's important to eat healthy and exercise more, right? However, in reality, it's not that easy to actually execute. And that is actually affected by a lot of causes and challenges, and a lot of them are actually related to the current lifestyle and the society that we're living in. So besides nudging the individual of us to actually eat healthy food and things like that, we also need to create an environment, for the consumers to be easier in accessing healthier food and maintaining a healthy lifestyle. So here, the government needs to come in and intervene and provide the policy options and tools to enable such an environment and the society to actually support the people and the population to have the access to nutritious food that at the same time they are also affordable, right? So the industry has a very important role in actually delivering these kind of products to the consumers and providing solutions, and also being responsible to the societal effect. So here I can share with you a few examples on what are the food-related interventions or actions that is helping to actually address the production of healthier food and address the whole obesity challenges, or it could also be related to like diabetes and other health issues. So firstly, nutrition labeling. The food industry is also has been also evolving together with the policymakers and regulators to provide easier to understand nutrition labels to the consumers. So you may be quite familiar with the food products that you can purchase in the market. Most of them will carry a nutrition label table, right? And this is also evolving because over time, we also found out that actually consumers need labels to be easier for them to understand, because the current labels are not designed to the common people. Yeah, it's actually more tailored to people who already have a good knowledge and understanding on the basic nutrition. So it has to be designed in the easier way in order to change the consumer's purchasing behavior. So that's why you see new creative logos, such as like the Healthier Choice logo over the past few years in Singapore. And that I don't know, some of you may have already also heard that starting from the next year or the year after, there will be a new type of nutrition labeling scheme that will come up in Singapore. They will grade the food into A, B, C, D, E according to their nutrient profiling. And secondly, it's about responsible marketing. Yeah, and because currently actually the rate of childhood obesity is also becoming a very concerning factor when it comes to the current obesity epidemic. So addressing childhood obesity is a very important and urgent action that we need to implement at the current moment. So working in the food industry, you should also know that marketing your food product to children directly is actually irresponsible. And finally, reformulation and innovation, and this is probably the area where the FST students will be most involved in. This relates to how do we actually create and formulate products that are healthier, but at the same time also tasty to the consumer. Yeah, so it may be easy to say, hey, let's just make all our food products healthier, and then we can address the problem, but it's actually not that simple. Yeah, for you to actually reduce the unhealthy ingredient from the product and replace with the other ingredients, it will change the entire taste profile and texture of the product. So you can design a product that is perfect in terms of nutrient content, but if the consumers cannot accept it, the product cannot be sold, right? And consumer will continue to actually choose for a more unhealthy product. And at the same time, it's also about how can you also maintain the cost, of the new product innovation, and at the same time, what kind of more innovative ingredients that we can put in the product. So there are some examples on how technology innovation is moving, and I'm sure the FST students can be also proud that you guys are also part of this innovation journey. So examples are like, how do we design the sugar crystal to make it actually hollow inside? Yeah, that actually will make the sugar still maintain the same taste profile, but you don't need to actually put so much sugar in the product. So there are all sorts of like exciting innovations that are helping us to address those challenges in the product formulation innovation. And I'm here actually calling for the audience and the prospect students to be involved in this exciting journey as well, because we are still constantly looking for solutions, and there's still a lot of lack of data and the lack of innovation that can support us towards this journey. And that after talking about like what the food industry and the innovation and food technology is supporting, in the whole entire issue is also about how the whole society can move together to communicate to the consumers to change their behavior, how the government is implementing the various policy options. So it will also involve a lot of other sectors, including academia as well, to help us to collect data and the evidence, and the health sector, and the media, and the educators as well. So being an FST student, you can absolutely contribute in terms of the food technology aspect, but you don't need to also limit yourself, because having this knowledge can also take you to any of the other sectors that can contribute to the issues. So in my final slide here, I just want to share with you on my personal experience, which is related to what I'm doing currently in terms of the regulatory affairs in the food industry. So I will start from the bottom to the top. So what does food regulatory actually works on? So the bottom line for us, is actually to ensure the compliance of the products that you're innovating and designing, to make sure that actually they meet the regulatory requirements in the markets that you want to be marketing in. And secondly, it's also about monitoring the climate change in terms of what are the upcoming issues that is affecting the industry. We need to be aware what are the policy or regulatory directions that are going to our future commercial activities, or how do we formulate the products as well. And it's also about how do we inform our colleagues in the company they are working in the related area in terms of like product development and marketing, because we need to make sure that they understand in designing a new product, there are certain ingredients that can be used and certain ingredients that cannot. And also marketing as well. Certain claims can be used, and there are also criteria around it. And it is also about how do we engage with our regulators to also help them to understand the industry practice as well. For example, just now we were talking about innovating and reformulating healthier products and providing better nutrition labels to help the consumers to have more healthier choices. However, along the process, regulators also need to understand how much time the industry needs to actually make the change, so that we can design the regulations and policies within a suitable time frame. And finally, it is also about influencing the stakeholders that we work with, because there are so many actors and there are so many factors that are involved in the entire food system and the supply chain. In order for us to address the challenges, all stakeholders and actors need to be aligned and move on the same direction. So this is will also require us to have very good communication skill and engagement skill, and also understand from the other sectors' perspective, so that we can have a better collaboration. So this has been what I have been always advocating for in the career. And so also finally, to share with you my experience in NUS FST as a student. So I joined FST in the year 2008. And I graduated in 2012, and I got a major and degree in FST. And actually, while I was a student over there, I also got an opportunity offered by the university for me to actually gain some industry exposure. So I have gained 2 internship experience with the food company, working on quality control, quality assurance, and product development, R&D. That really helped me to actually get a lot of exposure to understand how the industry actually worked. And that actually also helped me a lot to equip me with the necessary technical knowledge for me to work on the regulatory affairs as well. Yeah, so I started to work in regulatory affairs over the last almost 10 years already. And also along the way, I feel that also life is a never-ending journey of learning. So even today, I still feel that I'm learning on a daily basis. So actually, this week I just had a training course with the NUS Lee Kuan Yew School on public policy. That actually also helped me to have more understanding on like how the entire policy making cycle also affect the industry, and how we can work better with the policymakers to address the challenges. Yeah. And during my time in FST, I also got opportunity to have some overseas experience in the UCLA in California. And actually, I took very interesting courses in urban planning and the communication as well. So all these different subjects actually has helped us as a student in the technical background to also gain a lot of knowledge outside of the space. I think that definitely has helped me to become a person that can actually help to draw the dots sometimes from the different sectors and different stakeholders to talk about the issues. Yeah. So yeah, that's all on my experience over there. I'm happy to